All right, I'll try to make this quick. This is a 2006 F150 4x4, 5.4 liter. The manifold tricks and tips. You're gonna cut the manifold with a Sawzall. That's gonna help a lot. After you do that, because there's no space in here on the passenger side, as you know, you can tap it. Well, you get all the bolts out that you can, and then you're gonna end up with just one bolt up at the front, on the bottom side, up at the front, right? So you got like 1, 2, 3, 4 on the top, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bottom. You're gonna end up with just that bottom one. When you get to that point, there's no way to get it, but you've got the other ones out. So tap this down and then bring it back up so you get this wiggling, okay? It's just wiggling on that one bolt. Then you can cut your fender panel out with a Sawzall. You can tack weld that back in, right? Here it is. That's no big deal to tack that back in with a little welder. Once that's out, you can reach a wrench in there. This is going to be a terrible video, but hopefully you're getting the gist of it. So because you can move this down, it exposes that one bolt that's left, which is kind of catching the light there in the camera. Then you can get a 1/2-inch wrench in there. Then you can get it out. Heat every bolt up really hot with a torch first. If you break a bolt, that's fine. Use a welder. Don't try to weld a nut onto the stud. Just weld with wire feed directly onto the stud. Grab it with vice grips. Back and forth, wiggle it, you'll get it. This is a job you shouldn't do, but I mean, as a 15-year-old truck, you can cut out your fender and tack it back together. After doing the driver's side and now the passenger side, I'm convinced that these things should be mounted like antlers, because this is a monumental task. This job is so bad and so hard that it's laughable. And if you don't go in with that mindset, one step at a time, it's going to take you days. You will be very frustrated, but you can get her done. Now the hard part is going to be getting the new manifold in because there's actually not room for that either. You're going to have to cut your exhaust and then take that out, and you're going to sew your exhaust back together later. And then the other thing, I assume, going to have to happen. So this is where you're going to have to get that manifold up through. You got this thing in the way. You could remove that, I guess, and get a bunch of air in your system. You also, by the way, backing up a little bit, you have to get the starter out before you can do this. So you're going to have to cut your exhaust. And then the other thing I think a guy's going to have to do, you see where I've this with my finger, I think you're going to have to cut this off your frame, out of your frame, and then get that new manifold up in there. And then you'll have to weld this back together if that's what a guy does. I don't really know yet. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, it can be done. You're going to go through a bunch of these, okay? You're going to go through 30 bucks in these things on your Sawzall. It's just the way it's going to be. But yeah, very limited tools here. You can totally do this task. Just plan for the nightmare that it is and try to take it for what it is. It's like you should get a fucking reward. Well, you do get a reward, I guess. You get the reward of getting it done. So yeah, you're gonna see videos where you gotta jack the engine up on one side, get it off the engine mount, blah blah blah. I didn't have to do that to get it out. We'll see what has to happen to get it in. You're welcome. If this helps, that's great.